Folks, the sheer stupidity of Donald Trump's cabinet picks was on full display today when anti-vaccine zealot Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was in the chair being grilled on Capitol Hill during his confirmation hearing to lead the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He talked about his rhetoric on COVID-19, vaccines, and abortions. Here is some of what took place.
There is no question that abortion is a divisive issue in this country. I would say a majority of the people are pro-choice. There's a strong minority who are pro-life. A year and a half ago, you went to New Hampshire, running for president, gave a speech, and you talked about government should not tell a woman what she can do with her own body. That's her choice. Now, I think everybody on that side is pro-life. I think everybody here is pro-choice. I have never seen any major politician flip on that issue quite as quickly as you did when Trump asked you to become HHS secretary. Tell me why you think people should have confidence in your consistency and in your word when you really made a major U-turn on an issue of that importance in such a short time.
Senator, I believe, and I've always believed, that every abortion is a tragedy.
But you told the people in New Hampshire that it was their right. All right, let me do a last question here because I'm running out of time. I think the gist of what you're trying to say today is you're really pro-vaccine, you want to ask questions. You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with leadership.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines.
Right.
I will. I want good science, and I want to protect the
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit
You're
to
not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this question.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going. You're right because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our #1 health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS, but you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr.
The Daubert
Kennedy,
hearing.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No. I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
No,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
But the most devastating testimony came in a video from his own cousin, Caroline Kennedy, former Biden ambassador to Australia. This video was released the day before his testimony. And you talk about powerful, listen to this.
Dear Senators, throughout the past year, people have asked for my thoughts about my cousin Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his presidential campaign. I did not comment, not only because I was serving in a government position as United States Ambassador to Australia, but because I have never wanted to speak publicly about my family members and their challenges. We are a close generation of 28 cousins who have been through a lot together. We know how hard it's been, and we are always there for each other. But now that Bobby has been nominated by President Trump to be Secretary of Health and Human Services, a position that would put him in charge of the health of the American people, I feel an obligation to speak out. Overseeing the FDA, the NIH, the CDC, and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, agencies that are charged with protecting the most vulnerable among us, is an enormous responsibility and one that Bobby is unqualified to fill. He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. These facts alone should be disqualifying. But he has personal qualities related to this job, which for me pose even greater concern. I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks and break the rules. I watch his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence. That was a long time ago, and people can change. Through his own strength and the many second chances he was given by people who felt sorry for the boy who lost his father, Bobby was able to pull himself out of illness and disease. I admire the discipline that took and the continuing commitment it requires. But siblings and cousins who Bobby encouraged down the path of substance abuse suffered addiction, illness, and death, while Bobby has gone on to misrepresent, lie, and cheat his way through life. Today, while he may encourage a younger generation to attend AA meetings, Bobby is addicted to attention and power. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs. Even before he fills this job, his constant denigration of our healthcare system and the conspiratorial half-truths he's told about vaccines, including in connection with Samoa's deadly 2019 outbreak of measles, have cost lives. And now we know that Bobby's crusade against vaccination has benefited him in other ways too. His ethics report makes clear that he will keep his financial stake in a lawsuit against an HPV vaccine. In other words, Bobby is willing to profit and enrich himself by denying access to a vaccine that can prevent almost all forms of cervical cancer and has already been safely administered to millions of boys and girls. During my time in Australia, I worked on the Quad Cancer Initiative, and I learned that cervical cancer is among the top 3 forms of cancer among women in a majority of countries. Tragically, every year, more than 200,000 children lose their mothers. They are orphaned due to a lack of vaccines and screening. Those are the real-world consequences of Bobby's irresponsible beliefs. We are a close family, and none of that is easy to say. It also wasn't easy to remain silent last year when Bobby expropriated my father's image and distorted President Kennedy's legacy to advance his own failed presidential campaign, and then groveled to Donald Trump for a job. Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father. It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations. Unlike Bobby, I try not to speak for my father, but I am certain that he and my Uncle Bobby, who gave their lives in public service to our country, and my Uncle Teddy, who devoted his long Senate career to the cause of improving health care, would be disgusted. The American healthcare system, for all its flaws, is the envy of the world. Its doctors and nurses, researchers, scientists, and caregivers are the most dedicated people I know. Every day, they give their lives to heal and save others. They deserve a knowledgeable leader who is committed to evidence and excellence. They deserve a secretary committed to advancing cutting-edge medicine to save lives, not to rejecting the advances we have already made. They deserve a stable, moral, and ethical person at the helm of this crucial agency. They deserve better than Bobby Kennedy, and so do the rest of us. I urge the Senate to reject his nomination. Sincerely, Carolyn Kennedy.
Woo! My panel, Erica Savage, wellness coach and founder of the Reframe Brain, Mondale Robinson, principal with Black Male Voters Project and the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina. Joy Cheney is founder of Joy Strategies, based out of Washington, D.C. Pretty devastating there, Joy. If you were a Republican United States Senator, I'm sorry, that's a family member. That's somebody who knows a hell of a whole lot about about his character. And when she talked about how he led other family members down the path, the devastating path and destruction of drugs, man, did she nail that.
She nailed that. It's a disqualifier. He had many disqualifiers, but this is just the latest one. Well, actually, the latest one was that terrible confirmation hearing. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think what is clear is that he replaced one addiction, right? So the addiction of drugs and alcohol with the addiction of fame and trying to assert himself on a nation. He has replaced one with the other, which is why he would run for president when his family asked him not to do it, because they understood that it was eventually going to have to lead to them opposing him publicly because of what they know about him personally. Then he left his party. They are lifelong Democrats, but he was willing to throw that out to take on the view of Donald Trump and not just take an assignment from him, not just endorse him, but to then actually go in a hearing and say that I will do whatever he wants to do because I serve at the pleasure of him. This is not someone that should be trusted. And I know we're going to get to the hearing. He didn't understand how Medicaid worked. He did not understand how Medicare worked. He lied about his support of vaccinations. His lies about vaccinations ended in the death of Samoan children and led to an outbreak there. This person is dangerous. So even if you feel like, well, I have a cousin who doesn't take a vaccine, or I'm concerned about the health of our food. Bobby Kennedy, RFK, he's not interested in any of the things that you care about. None of the things that you care about. And he is dangerous. And if he is allowed to run our HHS, an agency that covers many things, he will mess it up.
The thing here is the flip-flop, Erica, on abortion. Now all of a sudden, oh, I love vaccines. This man is an anti-vaccine zealot. If you're sitting there, anybody with common sense will go, we can't trust this lying, grunting fool.
No, absolutely. He's a walking virus. And I think that even listening to Carolyn Kennedy, that was the ether of all ethers. From someone who respects a government position, even though she understood that he was wholly disqualified from holding any position, that she honored the position as a government official, as ambassador of Australia, and waited until, as with the Hatch Act, she was allowed to then speak publicly about another person, that she then penned and recorded such a poignant letter urging everyone to listen and the Senate to make sure that they did not confirm Robert Kennedy. I think that even with the fact sheets that we've read online and the testimony that we have fortunately been seeing throughout the day and throughout the week as we move through more Senate hearings, what we are understanding more and more, and what we have understood, Roland, since you stood up this program in 2018, is that this type of danger only has a qualification of one thing, and that is to pledge to the golden calf that is the son of a Klansman. And so it does not matter that this person has had a life of destruction. It does not matter that he could not tell you what HHS stood for. It does not matter that he would be willing and has been party to the harm and the death of other humans. It only matters that he will worship at the throne of the golden calf.
It is. I'm laughing, Mondale, because there were these fools who were saying that, oh, it was a mistake for Vice President Kamala Harris not to meet with Robert Kennedy because he could have helped her in the election. In what world?
Yeah, listen, let's be clear. The people that think and are charging the vice president with anything similar to that are people who are concerned simply with power. So these people are excited to take meetings with anybody. They remind me of the folk who were talking trash about Trump during the campaign, but performing for him at his inauguration, i.e. Snoop, i.e. Nelly, and the likes. I can't understand for the life of me how we are at a space where people are out loud complaining about DEI when we have an entire administration that is nothing but a bunch of white, rich nothingness. Trust fund babies and folk who have a lot of money that didn't deserve it and keep failing up to new positions, called geniuses for nothing. I am sick of people comparing these people to anybody that not just should be running an agency, but should even be a part of any federal agency. Robert F. Kennedy should be locked up for so many things that we're not even talking about. His daughter should have got him locked up when she told everybody that he cut a whale's head off with a saw and drove down the streets from Massachusetts to New York with the thing on top of his car, and nothing happened to him. So we see privilege, we see white privilege, and as if that's not enough, someone already said it. I think Joyce said he traded in privilege for power. power hunger. And I think we're not even talking about holding this administration accountable for all of the nothingness, all of the unqualified people that are being presented to us as if they should be anywhere near running a government agency. And this one, the largest health agency in the world, with over $1 trillion being spent on research and also on food, is absolutely scary to me that this person is 3 or 4 votes away from being that person.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.